Here's my story and how it's connected to my mission. I'm going to get vulnerable here. So as a young boy, my parents' relationship was not really going so well until they divorced. And one day my dad came to our house with a few friends, my uncle and a big truck, and it was to take all the furniture. They emptied the house, nothing was left, not even plates, forks, knives or a table to eat. My dad left my mom alone in a totally empty house. My mom was of course upset with the situation and was protesting. And so with the situation getting worse and worse, at some point my dad ended trying to choke my mom with a pillow, and it was my 16 years old stepbrother who stopped my dad. Then my dad tried to punch my stepbrother in the face, and it was my uncle who was helping with the moving who told my dad not to hurt my stepbrother because he was a minor. So this stopped the choking, but then later my dad pushed my mom away so violently in the stairs that it broke her right arm. And so I was 5 years old. After this event, my dad also took me away from my mom for 3 months. My mom got depressed, very depressed in fact. She lost her husband, her furnished house, her career as a singer in a band, and her job. She started drinking, she started to take antidepressants and tranquilizers, and she started to have suicidal thoughts. So at some point, she had to go to the psychiatric hospital. And my dad was taking me to visit my mom at the hospital, or that was his excuse. In reality, he just wanted to continue with the mental abuse. When we were in our room, he would say things like, "Oh, so you didn't kill yourself yet? What are you waiting for?" That was horrible for my mom. And at some point, my mom got out of the hospital and went back home. Even if she didn't have a job, she found a way to find furniture from family and friends. And after some legal actions, she was able to get me back. I was staying 2 weeks with her, then a weekend with my dad, and so on. So 2 years went by and she finally hit rock bottom. She was so depressed that she thought about killing herself again because life was not worth living anymore. But what's worse is that this time it will be different compared to the previous times. She thought that with a dad like mine, so physically and mentally abusive, my life wouldn't be worth living either. So she wanted to kill me out of love to protect me from my abusive dad and then commit suicide. I was 7 years old. Luckily, the same stepbrother who almost got punched in the face by my dad saved the day again. He read her journal and saw that she was having some serious suicidal thoughts that would have involved my death as well. He was able to explain to her that it wasn't the right thing to do, thank God. So as I was growing up, my mom continued to be depressed, and I've always been worried about her finances and if she was going to commit suicide or not. And as a kid, I was more responsible than my mom. I was the mom to my mom, her mindset support. And so one day I had to call the ambulance because she tried to commit suicide by overdosing on prescription drugs. And after that, she spent another few months in a psychiatric hospital. I had to live with my grandma and also go to another school in another city. I had to find something to cope with all that stress and that anxiety. And for years, my coping mechanisms weren't that healthy. I started to develop OCD. I was making lists for everything. I even had a list that would look like this: brush my teeth, put on my pajamas, say goodnight, set up my alarm clock, get in bed, close my eyes, fall asleep. I was listing everything out of fear of forgetting something. I had a huge need for control. My room had to be super clean, and each object had to be at the exact right location, otherwise I would just go completely crazy. I had to find an escape from my mom and my dad and their unhealthy mindsets. And that escape was to start with crew rowing. The physical activity was helping me release the negative energy and the stress. Being alone on the water, executing on these repetitive movements was like meditation to me. That was my first breakthrough, the power of physical movement. Then I started to get better at rowing, so I started to row with others. And the community I found at my rowing club was like having a new family. A family with a healthier, stronger mindset. Having a coach meant that for the first time in my life, I could receive guidance from someone I could trust. I was also surrounded by older male boat crew members and they were my first masculine models. For me, rowing was a school of life. I learned leadership, resilience, respect, and that I can get what I want as long as I am willing to put in the work. And I did. I got silver medals at the French National Championships, and I was also part of the French national team for 2 years. Rowing completely changed my life. It was not just the physical movement, but also the community that goes with it. That was my second breakthrough, power of community. I then moved to San Francisco to become an engineer and a project manager. We were building big solar plants, megawatts of electricity. I also found CrossFit, and I realized that it had the same fundamentals as crew rowing, practicing a physical activity with coaches and a community. And that it could not just change bodies, but change lives. And as a project manager in solar energy, I wanted to have an impact. I wanted to help with climate change, but I then quickly realized that my impact was little and that my purpose was different. I actually wanted to have a massive impact on people's health and people's lives. I wanted more people to experience the power of physical movement and community. Rowing didn't change my life because I got abs and was ripped. It changed my life on a mindset and on a community support level. And so I thought about how I could have the biggest impact possible. Should I open a gym, or should I help with the fitness industry as a whole? And so I decided that my impact would be more scalable if I would go for the latter. Because my zone of genius is not in teaching other people how to squat or overhead press or deadlift, even if I did a lot of those things during my rowing career. My zone of genius is in inspiring people to experience the power of physical movement and community and change the trajectory of their lives as it changed my life. In the meantime, my mom was still depressed, more than 25 years of severe depression. I came to see her in France from the US, and I couldn't believe how she had become. It was shocking. She had found a new partner in life, but when I saw her, I realized that she was getting obese. She was not leaving the house. She was not even opening the windows and letting the sun in. She was not cooking. She was not doing the groceries. She was not cutting her nails and had nails 4 inches long. She was smoking a lot, like 40 to 60 cigarettes a day. She was not moving from her couch, and she was just watching TV. She could barely walk as she was so obese and her back was hurting, and she wasn't even taking showers for like weeks. You know that old lady in the Requiem for a Dream movie? Well, it was like that, and probably even worse, as she was completely numbed by all the antidepressants and tranquilizers that I couldn't even have a normal conversation with her. She was like a zombie. She was not responsive. She was alive, but as if her brain was dead. I was so shocked that I couldn't even stay for too long with her, as it was just too painful to see her in such a poor state. So one day I had a conversation with her. I told her the hard truths that she needed to hear. It was a tough conversation, but it was coming from a place of love. It was coming from my heart. And that day, she got an amazing breakthrough. Since this Come to Jesus conversation, she lost 90 pounds, she quit smoking, she's not taking as many antidepressants and tranquilizers anymore. Her mental health is much better, she's eating better, she goes outside to get some sun, she goes out for groceries, she cooks, and she's getting healthier every day. She also went again to see a doctor to finally take care of herself, and she realized that she needed a heart surgery very urgently. And so she got it done. But if I hadn't spoken with her, she would have still be in that zombie state, not realizing she needed a surgery, and she would probably be dead by now because of her heart failing. And what was great is that I did not coach her on any strategy on how to lose the weight and get healthier. I didn't even tell her to go see a doctor. She knew the strategies already. I just had that 30-minute conversation, and she got the aha, the mindset shift she needed to shift her life. It was not about strategies, it was about a change in perspective. That was my third breakthrough, the power of changing perspective and the power of mindset coaching. And so since then, my mission has been to help gym owners with exactly that. I partner up with one of the best habit and mindset coaches on the planet, Lauren. She coached thousands of people on their habits, on their mindset, and we have been teaching those skills to gym owners so that they can position themselves as transformational gyms rather than conventional gyms. And now, Lauren is also coaching our clients' clients on their habits and mindset as a done-for-you service, Lauren literally become part of our client's team. And our mission is to help the ones who need it the most, the ones who didn't work out and haven't eaten healthy in 10 years. The men like I used to be, anxious with OCD. The women like my mom used to be, obese with chronic diseases. We are not about elite fitness. We want to be inclusive. We want to help the ones who are overweight. That's 75% of the population. We want to help the ones with chronic diseases. That's 60% of the population. And we want to help the ones who don't follow through with their habits. That's 92% of the population. We are about life transformations. It's about my mom not dying so that my kids can know their grandma. It's about me not being a stressed kid anymore. This kind of life transformation. We are about changing lives like my mom's at the time or my own life as a kid. And the beauty of it is the ripple effect. Each gym owner we help will then help thousands of people. And those people are surrounded by colleagues, family members, friends. And the gym members will be able to inspire that life change to those colleagues, family members, and friends. And then those people, the colleagues, family members, and friends, will continue to spread the wind of change as well, and so on, and so on. So we are about mind and body. We are about having a holistic approach to health, to fitness, and to business. We are about looking at things as a whole. The Greek word holos means entire or whole, and this is why we are HolosBody.